I'm showing you the chart of today, and I'm just going to run through a few things that are upcoming so we know where we're at. And at the moment we have, if you can see my pointer here in the middle, and you can follow along if you want to. The sun is trine the moon at the moment. So if we look at the sun, it's trining the moon, but with the moon, it moves rather quickly. It takes 2.5 days to move through a sign. The moon is currently in Scorpio, so whatever that moon, it's where we're really diving in deep at the moment, psychologically. It's to do with our inner depth. And a lot of stuff can be coming up for us, and memories, and also things that maybe are taboo, and just deep, deep stuff. But the good news is the moon moves quickly, so it's not going to last for long. In a couple of, maybe a day, it's going to be in Sagittarius. So we've also got the sun, which is conjuncting Mercury down here. You can see that the sun is conjunct Mercury, both at 9 degrees. So we're very busy in our minds at the moment, but it's a bit different because we've got the Mercury Retrograde. So a lot of this could be going on inwardly in us rather than outwardly, a lot of thinking things through. And the sun is also squaring Mars here, and that's going on for quite some time. We've got a Mars in Cancer, we've got Mars right at the moment that's just 1 degree in Aries, and it's going to remain in Aries for until the first week in January. And the reason that is, Mars normally takes 2 years to move around the chart. That's its normal process. But what we have is that we've got a retrograde coming up, and Mars is in its own home in Aries. Aries and Mars go together. So when Mars gets to 28 degrees, then it's going to go retrograde back to 15 degrees, and then it will go forward again. And for this process to be carried out, it's basically means that it's going to take, the next 6 months, and it's going to happen for different things are going to happen for each of us, is because it's going to be in a different house. So this for me is happening in my 5th house, which is creativity and joy, fun, children. For some people, it could be happening in the 6th house, which is to do with work. So you need to look at where this is falling for you to understand this. And if you want me to look at your chart with you to talk you through the Mars over the next 6 months, I'm happy to do that so you understand it and can use it to your advantage. It's going to bring up some anger issues, no doubt, as it goes through, because what it's going to do is it's going to, when it gets to 24 or going into 20 degrees, it's going to, 19 degrees of Aries, it's going to be squaring the Pluto and Jupiter and Saturn. But then what will happen is that it will then go forward, and then it will go retrograde, and it's going to square these 3 planets again. So it can bring up a lot of anger in us, and a lot of inner aggression as well. And we need to be basically utilizing our Mars to the best ability, because Mars is where we have our passion, but it's also where we have our compulsiveness. So we need to really look at this and decide how we're going to use it effectively. The moon, I won't go through what's going on with the moon at the moment because it moves quite quickly. But as I said, Mercury is sextile to Uranus. So Mercury here is sextile to Uranus at the moment. You can see this here. And this is breaking free of limitations. This is to do with our inner world, because it's retrograde at the moment. And then we've got Venus, which is trining Saturn. Venus has just come out of retrograde a few days ago, and it's trining Saturn, which is up here. And also Mars is sextile Saturn. So Mars, all of these, when I'm talking about this, the aspects are in the middle here. We can see what's going on. So we've got Venus trine Saturn, Mars sextile Saturn. So Mars is our, energy, our inner warrior, and that's Saturn's to do with breaking free of limitations. It's karma, it's teacher. We've got Jupiter conjunct Saturn up here. You can see this, Jupiter conjunct Saturn, and we've got Jupiter sextile Neptune. So Jupiter, and it's sextile to Neptune, which is here, yeah. And then you've got Jupiter conjunct Pluto, and Saturn conjunct Pluto. So this combination here, we've had that they were all conjunct at 22 degrees in, or Saturn and Pluto were in on the 12th of January, and this showed that society was going to have a breakdown, a breakdown of structure, transformation, breakdown of structure, looking at truth. They're all retrograde for the coming months, but we're going to be out of that towards the end of the year. We'll be getting a shift on those and how they're talking to each other, because that's what planets are doing with the aspects. They're having like a conversation with each other. And we've got Neptune sextile to Pluto at the moment here. And then we've got the North Node, which is square Mars. So the North Node is our life path, and it's squaring Mars, okay, here. We've got also Chiron I want to look at with you, because Chiron is the wounded healer. Chiron is square the sun. So the sun is here, and Chiron is to do with our wound. It's known as the wounded healer. And if you know the story of Chiron, it's half man, half horse. And basically it's a wound that turns into our gift, but we've got to understand that wound, and that happens through wisdom. And it's quite it's a very painful wound that never quite leaves us, but we get to understand with time. We've also got Chiron square on Mercury. So we might all be feeling sensitive at the moment, and this is forming as well, this Chiron square Mercury, as it gets to 9, in fact, it's going off, sorry, no, that's right. So let me just see here, squaring there. So that's going, Mercury will go off of, it will be out of the way and it won't be squaring, but we might be feeling quite sensitive at the moment in our inner world, because Mercury is in Cancer and so is the sun. So we might feel a need to just withdraw a bit at this time. And Chiron is also sextiling Venus, which Chiron here, and Venus is here. So we've got a sextile there. So this is to do with our needs, our inner needs. And again, it's in Gemini. So it's where this is to do with communication with others and short trips and journeys and our inner needs locally as well. So what we're going to have going on is that in the coming, I'm just going to skip this forward a week or two. That's 1 week ahead. Let's see. And we've got Mars, and it's going to conjunct Chiron. So I want to show you here. So there's Mars at 5 degrees, and then we've got Chiron here. I want to talk about this because it's an important aspect. So you see here, we get a 9 degrees, and we're also going to have Chiron's going to go retrograde as well at this time. So I think it stations the day before. I'm just going to check that's correct and go back by 1 day. You can see, do go to AstroSeek, by the way. It's a great site to play with, to understand yourself and what you're doing. So see the little R there on Chiron. Let's see, we want the station, right? So you can see there, it's basically hasn't got a little R symbol, which means that when you see the R, it's gone retrograde. So let's go forward 1 day, and there you go. So that's going retrograde on the 13th of July. Now, when this happens, this Mars Chiron, I want to explain to you, we'll both get it at both 9 degrees. I want you to sort of understand how that's going to affect us. So with the Mars conjunct Chiron, it's to do with our inner aggression, and it can expose that in us. And it brings the surface the Chiron themes, and it can feel quite painful because it's like something's being exposed. So this is for the whole of humanity. So wherever this is, your Chiron is in your chart as well, you can look at where your own Chiron is transiting at the moment, and also where your Mars is at this time. Mars is about assertiveness, and it's our desire, to put ourselves out in the world. And with this Mars in Aries, we want to get going, we want to get moving. And you can see that we're in a position that whilst we want to get moving and get on with things after being in lockdown for 3 months, and then having so much going on in this world and trying to sort out our resources and wanting to set goals, we're in a position where we're very much stuck. We're having to listen to outside authority and take care of each other. And in many ways, this is a good thing that we're having this time to heal, because Chiron in Aries is about healing the self. And as we heal individually, we're able to heal others. It's like a wave that, you know, ripples outwards. As we might during this time, you know, we might have like inner aggression. We need to make sure that we're using it in the right way. You know, maybe we could go and work out or do some gardening or do something where we're going to shake off this energy, because this is going to be going, you know, for a good week, the Mars conjunct Chiron. And we don't want to hurt others, you know, with words or with actions. We want to be peaceful. So I'm wondering at this time whether there'll be more trouble, you know, globally or in the streets or whatever. We just don't know how it will exactly play out. But we do know that Mars and Aries, and you know that it is an issue, and that we've got a wound there. We're all wounded at the moment, and a lot of us are feeling depleted, and again, as I said, we want to get on with it. So it's really important that we acknowledge our own inner aggression, and that we make sure that we don't get resentful, and you know, we don't want it to control us. It's normal to feel healthy anger, but we don't want to be controlled by it, because that also affects the body. So it's, you know, like looking after a child maybe that's very upset and having a, you know, a screaming moment of feeling uncomfortable and wounded with the world and overtired or whatever you know it may be. We want to soothe it. So we have to learn to soothe ourselves as adults. You know, we've got to get to a point to understand that we're sovereign, and that there are no saviors ultimately. Like governments can't save us, and you know, we put it out there that we want to be saved, or we might have had a really bad childhood and been wounded, and we've felt like we've never been parented properly. So we might be going over some memories that are from childhood as well, which can make us feel angry and a lot of shame and a lot of pain. So we're going to have to, at this time, be, you know, have some inner strength and compassion for ourselves, and then compassion for others. And compassion is a really beautiful tool. It's like we have to know that that's what we're doing though, and we have to use it. So with this, you know, at the same time with the Mars conjunct Chiron, we can learn to bring our gifts to the world. It means that we can get active and then realize that there is nothing for us to be ashamed of, and that we've all got wants and desires, and we can have those. You know, we might not want to, you know, see particular or hang out with particular people in our lives. We might not want to do a particular job that we've been doing, and we might be feeling a lot of resentment as well. I think we all are. And with them Chiron, you know, it can help us to achieve something if we understand what it's trying to tell us. But the main thing will be compassion, and knowing that we then get aligned inwardly, so that if in aligning ourselves, we're going to be able to help ourselves achieve what we want to do. And it has to be healthy, but at the same time, we've got to stand our ground. We can't be pushed around. This is another thing with Mars in Aries. We're not here to be pushed around, any of us. We've all got our own ideas and belief systems, but we all need to be dignified. And, you know, again, we're going to just keep coming back to that compassion, because it is a beautiful thing for us to do for ourselves and others. But at the same time, we're allowed to grieve things that we feel that need to be grieved, which is really important. So what else can I show you? I think that, you know, there's going to be other stuff going on, but also, yes, we've got the 5th of, which will be the 4th in the USA, and California, it will be the 4th, and in USA, it will be the 4th as well. You've got time difference there, but in the UK, it will be the 5th. We're having a lunar eclipse, and it will be 14 degrees of the sign of Capricorn. That's my second house, which is to do with my values. So we're doing some endings here. We're ending some really big stuff, which is really good for us. You know, we're letting go of some stuff that no longer is working for us. So you want to look at that. Lunar eclipses and solar eclipses are a whole new thing, but this is a full moon eclipse, lunar eclipse, and the sign of Capricorn. So you can then, you know, look at your chart, go to AstroSeek. Look, I'll show you here. Go to AstroSeek here, and, you know, pull up your own chart, go to free horoscopes, put in your date and time of birth, and you'll be able to see, you know, what's going on for you on that day if you put in that date. But I do read charts, and I also help people who've been through, you know, cleaning up their wounds from childhood. So if you want a session with me and you want to dig into this work deeper, to objectify your life and get working on the bits that are no longer working, then do book a session with me. I'm $30 for 1 hour, and we record it on Zoom, and you have a meeting with me, and then I send you the meeting afterwards. I don't keep the meeting, it gets removed from my computer because I certainly don't have space for all these videos. And then you've got, you know, a good head start in understanding your own astrology, and also looking at the North Node and the South Node, your past life. And if you don't know your time of birth, there are other things you can do. You can look at your North Node and your South Node, your life path. And the other thing, Sabian symbols are a beautiful thing to look at, which I won't go into detail here, but they're basically the degrees of, you know, where a planet is in your chart, and the meaning, the definition, which is very helpful. And then also you can look at your pre-solar and prenatal eclipse. And I'll make a video on that so you understand what a pre-solar and prenatal eclipse is and how that affects your life. And then I'll tell you a really good book you can get on it to study that too. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go now, and I'll be back with some more probably tomorrow. Catch you later.